Okay, we're going to kick it off. And we are talking about marketing your exhibition online and digitally. So I just want to welcome Tamar Beck from GleanIn, who's exhibiting over there. And I want to introduce you to Brandon Stevens, who I've met for the first time today from REVL. And standing in at a late notice is the lovely Jamie Vaughan from Glisser, one of our sponsors. And they are sponsoring the question and answer here. So as you can see, there's a link. You go to your browser on your smartphone, put in that link, and then you can send questions to us, and I will ask the panel as long as they aren't rude. Okay? All right, well, let's kick it off. Ladies first, yeah? Okay? I'll come to you first, Tamar. So, with so many options to, or marketing channels to use to market an event, where do you start? I mean, as an organizer, what would you what would you recommend to an organizer?
Is this? Oh, I'm on. So we work with lots of B2B large exhibition organisers, and the most common channels I think we see using, which isn't digital or online, well, maybe online is email. So email seems to be one of the kind of biggest channels for driving registrations. But in what we can see, and I think what our customers are seeing, is that the results from email marketing is declining. So there are issues around delivery of email and also converting email into registrations for your event. And I think that's mainly down to personalisation, in that people are just used to getting personalised communication, so the Amazon type experience, and generally most of the exhibition marketing you see is still very, very generic. And then you're seeing people using all sorts of digital and social channels as well, of which, we're one of them.
Okay. And Brandon, from your point of view, where do you see the organisers using your technology at REVL? Tell us what REVL is, just so we know. Is that not working?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it is. So REVL is looking to be kind of the time out of the 21st century. It is looking to aggregate event information, looking to make sure that there's a personalized experience, but it's being a one-stop shop for everything that's going on, and then taking things not just from the event discovery side of things, but also during the events, finding out about the lineup of a festival or what's taking place at an exhibition, and then post-event providing data and analytics. So it's a bit of a B2B2C in the sense that, when we look at social media, when we look at email, it is tough to get traction on those things. And we provide kind of that one-stop shop for all that, but also from a B2C side, providing all the listings that consumers want to see. So from that standpoint, it is a bit trying to be, and it's ambitious, but kind of the Instagram of events or the YouTube of events. There's lots of data aggregation that's taken place out there, but not in events. And in 2017, it's kind of amazing that just hasn't happened. So that's what we're going after.
But how do you, or what do you recommend, obviously besides your technology as one of the channels besides email, because we've covered that?
Yeah.
What other channels might you use?
Social media is obviously a big one. I mean, I think, my previous position was, I founded a burrito chain called Tortilla. You may know one down at Leadenhall Market. And when social media kind of really hit, that's what we were using. I mean, we were just posting stuff all the time. But the challenge with social media is, a stat that I think I sent through before, the half-life of a tweet is about 24 minutes. And the half-life of a Facebook post is about 90 minutes. So you're constantly having to remind them about all this information. And you're constantly, putting it out there and hoping that they're watching just at that time. There's no permanence to that. And so, how do you find something that's a bit more permanent? Email is very helpful because it sits in an inbox. Obviously there are new emails come in, but I think that's the challenge. How do you have that persistence that's always reminding the consumer, but also not being a nag?
Okay. Just to clarify, when we talk about half-life, so what we mean by that is when you go to your Facebook page or your Twitter page or whatever, you scroll down to see what's been going on, right? And what Brandon's getting at is you're only going to scroll for the last 20 minutes on Twitter or the last half hour on Facebook, and that's where you're going to get most engagement. Then it just starts going on a graph down the page. So, Jamie, you've been marketing event products and you've been to lots of exhibitions and things like that. What do you think are the most effective channels in terms of marketing exhibitions?
That's not on. Oh, it is on. First of all, I apologise. I was subbed in 30 seconds ago. But I can be quite objective because this isn't my product. So I can talk from experience of running exhibitions, from registration, from event apps, and exhibition execution. Social, for sure. I mean, there's no avoiding social amplification nowadays. But being objective, I think it's important that you don't just invite people. People come, right? So I think it's remaining within your comfortable communities that are going to be relevant to the subject matter around the conference, because I'm all about conversion. It's about amplifying as much as you can, but getting them to attend and engage whilst they're there. What does that mean? Social for sure, email for sure, good old-fashioned client databases, making sure you're reaching out to the closest communities that are going to come and add something different to the experience of the event. So I think it's a combination of everything. I mean, we live in a digital world, a mobile-first world, but I think there's still lots of other things that we used to do that we do less nowadays that are probably coming back into the fold.
I think the main thing with social marketing or person-to-person marketing is one of the key reasons that people enjoy coming to an event. So the ones that register and show up are also here to meet people, and it's about the quality of the conversations that you have when you're at an event. Whether you're an exhibitor or whether you're one of the visitors, it's all about the conversation you have. And I think that's where social media can come into play. It's like being able to see up front which of your valued business connections are going to be there, about inviting others that you want to see along to the event and actually participating in the event in that way. And that all should be built in as part of your marketing process.
Can I just ask you, just to continue on from that, has anybody heard of retargeting marketing? A couple of you have, so most of you haven't. Can you just explain what retargeting is, or can somebody explain that? Yeah? Anybody on the panel?
That's not really...
Okay, so basically it's stuff that follows you around and stalks you. So they used it very successfully for EVVNT Live. You had a look at the website, you didn't register, you went to your Tesco to do your shopping, and all of a sudden an ad pops up and says, register for EVVNT Live, and we call that retargeting. So do you think that's a successful use of digital marketing?
So although I can't talk about it because it's not something that I use, and when I was an event organizer like 6 years ago, retargeting wasn't something that we did. But I can say from my experience with our customers now, retargeting is a big channel for generating registrations. I think that there are going to be things that you need to look out for with GDPR and the way that you chase people around and what you're serving them. You're going to need to be really careful with that, and probably getting professional help and advice on how you do that retargeting is going to be more and more important.
I mean, when you think about, we're all inundated with all these different forms of media, right? We're on social media and we see a bunch of stuff. We got emails coming in, but where do you spend a lot of time? Where does the consumer spend a lot of time? So email, they're looking at their inbox, but also just, the phone. I mean, we're constantly looking at our phone. So if there's a way to actually get some degree of penetration or get the reminder, if there's a way to actually push message on phone, that is huge. I mean, that's what we've seen be the most effective. And that goes to retargeting, but it goes to initial outbound as well. The challenge is not whether it's effective. It's way more effective than anything else you could possibly do. How do you get that real estate? That's the challenge. And, I think, this is where everybody kind of wants to have an app, because it's like, let me get an app on there. That means I can communicate to them. But then no one really wants to download my app. I've got too many apps on my phone. How do you find that balance between super effectiveness but hard to get on there? And that's something that we're trying to help out with, but it's really tricky.
Okay, but Jamie, you've had experience of being marketed too, yeah? How important is the quality of the digital content that has been put out there?
I was going to say, content I think is key throughout all this. It's all well and good banging on with different messages, but they have to be on point. From our perspective, we do lots of retargeting, but it's around blogs, it's around experiences, and it's targeted to the very people who we know may suffer the same issues. So it hits a call, it's relevant. And if your content is relevant, of course, then it can be repurposed and retargeted. And then the hook, of course, is to come to my event, to expand my community, and recommend your friends. So I think content is absolutely key, but it needs to be varied.
Yeah.
So in our business, we're rolling out blogs. It's very hard. We're rolling out blogs once a week when we can, but we try and keep them relevant to the industry and the content around our client base.
And Tamar, in terms of GleanIn, maybe just explain to these guys how you help this event and how successful that approach is.
So our business is all about marketing referral, person-to-person recommendations and referrals. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anybody about how successful that is. But in a world inundated with spammy emails and maybe generic type emails, getting a recommendation to do something or buy something from somebody that you know and respect, either socially or in your WhatsApp contacts or by the phone or via email, whatever way you receive it, getting a recommendation to do something from someone that you know and respect is, really highly respected. And that's what we do. We plug that into the registration process and try and make it easy for people that want to refer and want to recommend your event. We just make it easy for them to do that. And we can see really great results, very high conversion. So those person-to-person invites convert much higher than generic, obviously, email from the organizer to prospects. And it's just a way to facilitate something that was probably happening anyway in different ways.
Okay. I've got a question up here on the screen. Lots of talk about social. Knowing you'll only reach an estimated 6% of your audience organically on Facebook, are we really talking about paid social? Do you think that's a good idea?
We're huge on paid social, but it's a matter of, I think, it comes down to the content. I mean, there's three things that we've kind of seen work. There's folks that are out there that are bombarding social with loads of different types of advertisements, marketing, whatever you want to call it. And they're just seeing what happens. I mean, Facebook's engine is so incredible that it knows that this is resonating with this customer base or this cohort, this segment, and another one's registering with another one. And you're playing this video game where it's like, well, this has gone up to 10 pounds CPM and this is down to 5 pounds CPM, so I'm going to go with this one. That game is really important, just sheer volume, maybe even like low-cost content. The other one is just video. So Facebook is now prioritizing video enormously. For us, that's great, and I think for everybody here, because events are really interesting. Doing kind of fast imagery type of stuff. It's like, live buzz and it's co-locator and all this kind of stuff. It gets you really interested. You want to look at it. That gets you engaged. And then the last one is just really esoteric stuff. We actually put a post on that just said, it said Romeo and Juliet did not meet on Tinder. Download REVL. And it's got like 300,000 views. I mean, it didn't even make any sense. I mean, people that were writing in there saying, those aren't even real people. And we're like, yes, we're aware they're not real people. And they had a whole argument, but it created this engagement and this discussion, and that caused the rankings to go up, which caused our cost of acquisition to go down, which meant that we did great. So I think there's a couple different strategies.
And I think just this point about social has also got to do with online identities. I've got kind of one identity I use across 3 or 4 social channels. But I know my niece, for example, who's 18 years old, her parents and her family, like me, see her Facebook identity, but then she's got a completely different identity that she uses on Snapchat for her friends. And then we have closed groups in WhatsApp, or what we call the dark social, that marketers really want to get into that word of mouth kind of, influencer audience. How can we use that, Tamar? How can we get behind that dark social and those various identities?
I think WhatsApp is going to be something really interesting. I've got young kids as well, and they have got email addresses only in order to get their social accounts set up, but they never, ever, ever check an email. And I think from a marketing perspective, for an industry that is really, really heavily reliant on email marketing, if you're going to be trying to market your events to people, under the age of, say, 20, now or in the next 10 years, you need to think about a completely different way of marketing. So as far as, what we're kind of thinking of is, when you're looking at how to market events, it's about using all the key channels, and that will be going into the social media channels where those people are spending lots of time. But for us, when we're talking about word of mouth, person-to-person recommendations, I think that WhatsApp is going to be really, really important for us. So we're looking to integrate with WhatsApp, because I just think you need to make it easy for people to recommend the event and invite people wherever they have their contacts. And I think increasingly that is going to be on WhatsApp. So being able to share a registration link in a WhatsApp group needs to be really easy.
Yeah. And do you think WeChat is going that same way, the kind of Asian platform as well? Okay. And Jamie, you've got something to add to that?
Yes, I agree. I remember, I'm very old, by the way, and I remember going to a conference about 15 years ago, and the keynote said, "Email's going to die." Everyone said, "Are you crazy? What are you talking about?" But clearly, my kids don't open emails. They WhatsApp, they do whatever they need to do. So I think we need to be open-minded to all the new technology that's disrupting just everyday behaviour and making sure that we can use it whenever we can. And a point on communities I made earlier, I'm not saying it's going to challenge events, but there should be longevity in your communication. And if you look at associations that use our software quite a lot, they're touching their communities every fortnight, every month. They're now doing webinars, and you can do live streaming through Facebook and YouTube Live now for hardly any money, if any money at all. And it's another way to engage your community and to amplify your once a year or twice a year events, which then gets recommendation. And GleanIn's a great tool for socially amplifying as well. So all these things together is where you're getting your audiences from right now.
Okay, just so you know, the next session after this is specifically a Q&A by you guys into specialists on social media, so we'll pick some of this up later. But for now, I've got another question coming. How much online or digital presence should an organizer have without being annoying to users? So you've all been marketed to, right? What's your annoyance level?
I'd say it's bad retargeting. That bad retargeting or relevant retargeting is really annoying. But otherwise, I don't think so. I think if you're putting constant messages out on social media, on Facebook, and they're really bland, I don't think you'll annoy anybody. They just won't read them. And you won't know whether they're reading them or not, except that you might not be getting much traction. But I don't think they annoy, because people can just switch you off. But retargeting is annoying if it's badly targeted.
Jamie?
Agreed. And although I'm not sure I'm a fan, but GDPR is going to change all the rules. I mean, retargeting is abused now. When I hear stories of some chap got married and he got emails about divorce lawyers, like on his honeymoon. It's crazy. It's gone out of hand, right? I'm a certain age man. I don't need Viagra, right? Let's just put it out there. Yeah. But I get the emails every day. So I think retargeting goes crazy, and I think GDPR is something that's going to help us a lot. It's going to stop lots of targeting. It's going to stop lots of retargeting messages, and it's going to put some compliance in place where it needs to be there.
I'm going to ask you, Brandon. I mean, you're based in North America, I assume. Yeah, you based in North America? Oh, you're based here. So, okay. So, how are you dealing with GDPR and the whole kind of online digital marketing thing? What's your approach to that?
I mean, from our standpoint, we're as a platform, we're in pretty good shape. I mean, you need to have a justifiable reason why you're going to target people and track their location. Well, if we're having to recommend events that are taking place that are near you, we've got a very good reason to target them, and so we're able to be supported about that, and that's actually causing some players that are out there to come to us and say, hey, can we kind of leverage what we're going to no longer be able to provide that you guys have? So we feel very good about all this.
Okay, and Tamar, from your point of view of GleanIn, because you're showing people's LinkedIn profiles there. You're not using their email address, but you are using their identity. And how's this GDPR thing going to affect you guys or impact what you do?
So our platform's completely opt-in. So people opt in and agree to have their profile shown, and they can opt out. So for us, that's what we do. Any data that we collect is about informing the marketing and about who's advocating, but all of that is your normal registration data anyway and collected by your registration supplier. So for us, it's everything we do is about getting permission. Don't assume anything, get permission, and then actually I think the results you get are genuine and easy to track.
Okay. Well, we're going to shut it down in a minute, but what I'm going to ask each of our experts is to give us one takeaway for you guys of something that you can do when you get back to the office or marketing your next event. So have a quick think. What's one recommendation you can give these guys about best practice in online or digital marketing?
Well, my answer would be don't do one thing, which is defeating your question. Do everything in moderation, right? Don't pin all your hopes on one particular approach. Do everything in moderation, control it. Don't abuse the power you have. You've got a massive amount of data. Don't abuse that. Don't retarget to death. Don't pay for pay-per-click so you go crazy. But touch all elements and work and see the reaction. You monitor. Don't do anything unless you can read and analyze the results, and then spend where the effectiveness comes through.
Okay, good. Tamar?
I mean, mine would be word of mouth. So make sure that
Okay, we're okay, don't worry.
anybody's eardrums get blocked then. Have we been switched off?
Okay.
Yeah, mine would be word of mouth, and just making sure whether it's online or digital is kind of irrelevant. It's about, especially in event organisations, you've got all of these amazing stakeholders involved in your event. You've got thousands of visitors usually attending the events. You've got hundreds of exhibitors. All of those are stakeholders in making sure the event's successful. So think about ways that you can leverage them and their networks to make the event relevant.
Okay, Brandon?
I guess this may sound a little bit controversial, but I came from tech originally and then went into hospitality for a while. And one of the things I saw with the hospitality world is they're desperately trying to adopt technology now. It's like oh, we got to have technology. Well, what are you trying to use it for? It's like technology for technology's sake. The fact is, offline stuff still works. You know, I come from Silicon Valley. I shouldn't even be saying that. It's anathema, but you know. Flyers work, you know, offline billboards work. All that stuff is really, really effective. And so towards that end, you know, the word of mouth stuff and doing everything, not just having a digital strategy, but a completely, you know, touch points across every single possible channel. Really, really critical.
Okay, I think that's really good. I'm going to throw in my 2 cents worth there and say, in terms of the content, make sure it's quality from the perspective of you putting yourself in the shoes of the user. If you think that's going to be great, they'll think it's great. And thank you very much. So we have Brandon here, who is from REVL, Brandon Stevens, Tamar Beck from GleanIn, and Jamie Vaughan from Glissa. Thank you very much.